seeing money coming in, and then a huge ego trip. I was so on top of the world. I was like, I am the fucking boss. I made it. I'm 20. Yeah, I spent it all. I continued spending it all. Actually, I don't have any money left.
Welcome back to the Dirt Path podcast. We're continuing our series from Chiang Mai, Thailand with today's trailblazer, Daniils Visnakovs. Danny started nomading and took the leap from his 9-to-5 to pursue his own business at the early age of 20. So in today's conversation, we talk about that early success in multiple different areas, as well as how he's navigated over these last years, and finally, how he's become the expert in ads. All right, let's take a walk with Danny. I want to clarify because I'm pretty sure I know this, but you are Russian, right? But you lived in, was it Austria, Germany for a long time?
So I was born in Latvia.
Latvia.
Yeah. But I speak Russian.
Maybe that's why.
I choose not to identify with Russian lately.
Okay. Yeah.
And also, as a matter of fact, I never lived in Russia, right? I was raised with the language and a lot of culture of like Eastern Europe stuff. Mm-hmm. But I wouldn't call it necessarily Russian. Then, yeah, I moved to Germany when I was 8 years old. I lived there for 14 years.
Okay. And then I'm curious about your upbringing, like from Latvia to Germany a little bit before you kind of go off and, start business and the working world. Like, how was that growing up there and everything?
In Germany?
Yeah.
That sucked. Like, I was different. I was a foreigner. I didn't speak the language properly. We changed schools. We changed places quite a lot. So I was always the outsider and the clown and the guy that didn't speak the language and the weirdo kid that was probably very overwhelmed with the whole situation, tried to make the best out of it. Mm-hmm. A lot of like clown stuff and like lots of bullying and stuff going on. Hard times. And also like the culture is so different. Like where in Latvia, I mean, it was also like only first and second grade. I remember being good at something in school wasn't a reason to be bullied. Whether moving to Germany, you were weird if you would like participate in class.
Interesting.
And it's still very similar. Germans don't like people that do shit because they are taught not to do shit and not to be outside of the system. Well, I think we're going to come to that later. And and then at some point it just settled down, got more balanced out, and just get like usual, I'd say.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm sure. So we moved around a lot in the US growing up, and there was a lot of differences between the places we lived. Like we lived in Kansas for a while when I was in elementary, and then we moved to DC. Stark difference.
Like, is Kansas in Texas?
Kansas is its own state, so the middle of the U.S., right? Not a ton of people there, and it was very like sports focused, right? Very competitive in that in terms of like when you're in school. Then I moved to DC, and it's the opposite. It's very, very competitive academically.
And liberal, then, right? Like very...
Yeah,
left.
And then as well, just more multicultural, right? Like I was one of the only white kids on the bus, right?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But that was very interesting for me to maneuver because, and then I, later moved to Arizona. I lived many places, but switching like, oh wait, now you're not competitive on the sports team, you're competitive on this, you know, and I can imagine switching countries is that much more elevated, right?
Yeah. I couldn't pinpoint what exactly was different. I never really reflected on that. But it was just such a toxic environment in general to like kids are assholes. Doesn't matter which country you're from. Like generally, kids are just not. I mean, they're not doing this on purpose. But like teachers, the program, the social circumstances, the infrastructure, everything has its own say and leaves a stamp. I'd say. I couldn't pinpoint what exactly is different, but the people are just like the way Germans think. It's a completely different world. Like they grew up with different stuff. We grew up like, Eastern European countries didn't grow up with much,
Right.
except governments fucking them over 4 times in a row.
Right.
And then Germans had stuff. Like it was weird seeing all of those rich people suddenly like, oh my God, you have a house, and that's like a normal thing. Like you're in the middle of nowhere in Bavaria, and guys have villas and drive expensive cars, and it's all walkable, and you can go to the bakery, and it's a normal thing that kids go to school and they have like a sausage bread from the bakery for €2. I was like, I didn't realize, but it was weird.
Mm-hmm. It's different how such a small thing, like being able to take something from the bakery in one culture or where you come from is very normal, and the other one, it's interesting, those little details, how they can be magnified and like what you remember to this day.
Yeah. It was just like being in I don't remember much, to be fair. Like it was, I'm not sure why, probably because it was some tough times, but it was all very, very, very much washed away. Like the school times when I moved to Germany, but it was different. I still remember until today. I mean, the first year I actually made friends in a school, and we stayed there for a while. I was so happy suddenly, and I started enjoying going to school, and it was becoming like a social circle, some of the kind. And nowadays, I really realize I understand Germans because I learned them. I had to to adapt, which made me super resilient. I'm in my own. We say I'm in my own soup wherever I go. Like it's always easy to navigate. Which is, I think, a skill I was learned by constantly moving. I guess maybe this has happened to you as well.
For sure.
And then I talk to Russians, let's say, that are from Russia, that have lived all of their life there. And I speak their language perfectly, but I don't have the cultural code. I don't get the memes. But then when it gets more complicated, I don't get their mentality. I don't get their soul. Like they might say something that sounds sad, and you're like, oh, are you okay? And they're like, yeah, no, that's how they think. Like, I don't have a perfect example for that. But then I realized when I come into a group of new people and they speak German, I know what to do. And I did not know what to do with other people. I learned them. I understood them because I lived most of my life there. But I didn't learn how to navigate it and this has opened so many questions about myself. Like, why is it such an important thing to know how to communicate and what to say next and how to build a conversation? Well, to protect yourself, I guess,
right?
When you're constantly moving.
To learn how to fit in, to not be like the weird kid on the outside, but to like have friends and find your group. I'm curious. I want to get to so much with you today, but one thing before we transition here, I'm curious of, one of the first questions people ask is like where you're from. And because you moved around when you were young and now you're moving around all the time, like myself, is there one place that you feel like is your home or that you really identify with?
Somebody said I'm feeling like a world citizen, and I probably would identify most with that. I used to say I'm Latvian, then I used to say I'm Russian for whatever reason, then I used to say I'm German. Really also depends on who's asking to fit in. So if a German's asking, I'm going to be like, no, I'm special. I speak German, but I'm not from Germany. And if a Russian's asking, I'm going to be like, yeah, I speak Russian, but I'm not from Russia. Which is super stupid. But like I like myself personally, I don't feel particularly bound to a specific nation at all. I actually disagree with the fact that it's so important in the first place, because I feel like, especially in the Eastern countries, this is a big part of your identity because they took away everything else in the past, like as a propaganda measure. So you're not courageous and brave and, I don't know, respectful or kind. You're just Russian, or like you're just North Korean, or you're just like, I don't know, American as well, so it just like goes in the foreground instead of who you actually are as a person. And that's why it's always been so hard. I never lived in any place for long enough. Now I live in Thailand. Am I Thai now? No, probably not. That's more difficult. I'm actually not Thai. By passport, I'm Estonian and Latvian. So I guess I would go with that.
So is it fair to say that plays a big role into maybe you feeling more comfortable to Nomad? Because you started nomading really early on, right? Like how old were you when you started nomading?
19, 20.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I'm 22 now, so it's not like a lot of things have changed. Yeah, I think that it was easy to leave because we always move. I don't know how it felt for you. You said you moved a lot, but it didn't feel like a big thing to do. Like people were like, "Oh my God, you're moving to Portugal." I was 19 years old. I got a job in Portugal, and I was like, "Yeah." Like I used to say as a teenager, I really like this, and no reason to stay is a really good reason to go. And I think that was the influence. That was the consequence of moving around a lot with parents.
Yeah, for me it was similar. I think it's a lot easier for me than like Paige, for example. She was born and raised in the same house her whole life, in outside of Boston. Most of her family, pretty much all of her family is in New England, never moved. And so for her, like she really wants to go back there and that's her home base every year. And for me, when we met, I was like, okay, that can be our home base, because it's wherever I'm at the moment, wherever my suitcase is, like that is home.
Yeah.
I've developed habits that can make it feel like home. So I think that upbringing does really do something, I think, for you.
I think it's a survival thing. Yeah. Like I wouldn't say we're both traumatized, but we probably are in some way just by the fact of constantly moving. I think it's very important for a child to stay in one place for a long period of time. I think those connections that you build and you don't build are very, very important. And then I didn't have those or they were very painful. And now I feel like so I'm settled down now. I live here in Thailand now. I've got a house for the next 12 months. It feels very nice and anxious as fuck.
Yeah.
I need to relearn everything. I need to relearn how to breathe. I felt like I was running for the past 3 years from something to something, probably more to something than from something. And now I'm like driving somewhere. It's like, oh wow, I really need to learn how to be in one place and to stay committed to not my partner, not the job, to rest and be peaceful. It's very weird. But yeah, I was always like, oh, I don't care. Like partner wants to go to Canada because of a visa. Okay. I don't mind.
Yeah. It's interesting you say the running or like chasing. It's one of my favorite questions to ask nomads.
What are you running away from?
Either what are you running from or what are you chasing? Because I do think it's one of the two, like for moving so quickly. Like I thought when I started, I was chasing something. It was my dream to live abroad for so long, right?
Everybody, I think.
And there are so many people I've met though that are 100% running from something. And it's so easy in this life. And there's been periods when I've nomaded that I was running away, because you can travel quickly. You fill up your calendar with all of this stuff and whatever it is happening back home, friends, family, business, you can kind of fill your life with so much of it, experiences. You just can wash that away. Right?
That's very, very, very true.
Yeah.
Like broken heart, very easy to run away from. Fill up the calendar, change countries. Like it sounds crazy to people back home probably, but like, yeah, you got a broken heart to just book a flight out.
Yeah.
But it works. And then I think I cannot answer your question if I'm running away or chasing something, because I do feel like it's also in phases. Right now, I feel like I'm trying to run away from something that I committed to, which is harder than chase. Chase feels more positive than run away, if you're aware. I mean, people do run away and chase something without being aware of that. I think if I was chasing something, I was not aware of that in the past 3 years. But if I'm running away from something, I'm like, there's a reason you just left. Why didn't you just stay? But like the sweet spot is in between, right? It's like what Buddhism also like says, like you gotta live in the moment. The present is the present and the future is the future. You can't decide anything. You only are now, which is an amazing thing to embrace and do, which is very, very hard. But then if I could choose, I would chase freedom, or whatever nomads love to say.
Yeah.
The next stop, I'm in the rush of the new client, of the new country, and the new Instagram post and status symbol of being a nomad.
Yeah. It's big, huh?
Boom. Yeah, it's an identity.
For sure. And it changes all the time. And I don't think it's realistic. Although we want to be chasing, right? I do think it's more in a positive sense. It's just not realistic to think that it's always going to be like that. And that's okay. And I really love that you talked about coming to Chiang Mai and you're 12 months kind of anxious about it, but that's a big step. We're talking about maybe going back to Maine for like 6 months.
Nice.
Which for me in the last few years is a big step. And getting more of like a home base there and slowing down more, and definitely mixed feelings. So I'm curious to hear from you in 6 to 12 months of how it's going.
Yeah, let's talk again. But for now, I can say it's a huge. I think even because my expectation levels of staying in one place were so high of myself, I feel like I generally have high expectations of myself, and I didn't know that's in a negative way. But then settling down here was connected to, okay, I'm going to be better in business, better in discipline. I'm going to go more often to the gym, take care of myself. I'm going to be more peaceful. I'm going to have more rest. And then suddenly it was not peaceful and it was not restful. Like I was moving places. I was choosing the house. It's the end of the year, partying with friends and all of this stuff. And like everybody's around and it's like, you don't have this. And then I expected myself to do so. And now it's like, and also just more time to like process things that maybe have not been processed in the past years.
I think it's a big step, man. I'm happy for you. I think that's awesome.
Thank you.
Let's rewind back. So you said 19 is when you moved to Portugal. Was that your first job and everything then?
No, not the first job. I worked since I was 13, like, being the newspaper guy, a newspaper kid.
Mm-hmm.
And then this sucked. I earned 20 euros in a month, and it was basically a full-time job for a kid next to school. And then when I turned, I believe the legal age to work in Germany is 14. With 14, I applied to work in a bakery, hence bakery. Interesting. And worked like 40 hours a month for 450 euro. And then I started photography on my own I wouldn't call it a business, friends and family, and maybe some little business. Like a matter of 1,000 euros in total, probably. And then I started working at an offline marketing agency, which was also a co-working space, where they gave me an opportunity, which I'm very grateful for, to explore more of the business side, with a lot of pressure though, like a lot of self-work, like, self-motivation work, where I did not do it myself. And like, that was an interesting experience that I only understood how they felt like a year later when I actually became self-employed.
Mm-hmm.
But that was cool, like websites and graphic design and stuff. And then I finished school and was just sitting there and working in the nightclubs in the night, and on 2 full-time jobs during the day. I was doing like 80-hour weeks plus nights. And I was like, okay, I can't go further like this for long enough. So let's just apply to something somewhere, and flew to Portugal. Yeah.
And was that, so that was based in Portugal?
Yeah.
Right? It sounds like you did jobs all over the spectrum. When do you think like the entrepreneur spark kind of hit you? Or when do you think you had that idea that you wanted to do something like that?
I mean, from midnight conversations with best friends to opening a kebab store and calculating how many kebabs you need to sell for $350 to be rich, to actual business spark, I'd say I was 19 or 18. I was a photographer and I had a website that I built for myself, and I bought marketing books on how to market myself, but was just very lazy and very, I just didn't have the belief, I guess, or maybe the motivation or the energy to do that. And then the actual idea of, oh my God, I can actually make money working on my own hit me in Portugal.
Okay.
So I had a mentor and also a very good friend that was also at the same time in Portugal, but he was already self-employed for years and digital nomad for many years, so like for 9 years at that time already. And we met there, and then we bonded. And then without any further ado, because I was so interested in the topic we learned there, he was like, do this. So I did this. And the first moment where I realized that this can make money, I was like, shit, I just got to repeat that 10 times and I'm going to make 5K a month. What? I think that was the moment. It's a switch that flipped in my head.
Yeah.
It's the first sales conversation that went well. He negotiated me down from $600 a month to $500 a month. And then I hang up the phone, and I'm standing there in between the office and the metro station. And I'm like, what? Somebody's willing to pay me what I got in a month working as a teenager in the bakery for something I assume is going to be 20 times less work. Wow. Something was like, okay, that's it. I cracked it. Like, just do this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you were still, at that time, you were still working like a 9 to 5, and this was on the side, right?
Yeah.
I'm curious, like, how long did you kind of do both of those? And when was the moment where you decided to kind of go all in and leave the 9 to 5?
In August 2023, I left Portugal and I quit my job. But by that point, I was already making 3,000 euros on the side, plus the 9 to 5 job. I think after 3 months in Portugal, I started my own. So the founding date of my company is March 2023. This is where I sent the first invoice. Mm-hmm. And then in September, August, I left. So how many months is that? 3, 6, 5 months? 5 months.
And so that was, you left to go Nomad and you left the 9 to 5 at the same time?
Yeah.
Okay. So that was when you were what, 21?
20. Shit.
Young, man.
Yeah.
I think I saw something, I was looking on your stories on Instagram about you. And I don't know if it was when you were 20 or 21, you said you started already to make 6 figures.
I was 20.
20. So you're 20.
Mm-hmm.
You're making 6 figures.
Mm-hmm.
You've had success with the business to like go start on your own because you're already doing it with the 9 to 5, right? So you already had that, okay, I can do this. You start nomading at 20 years old.
Yeah.
Do you think like, I mean, that's just a lot of success or different like dreams people have to do at such a young age. Was there, like, how have you been dealing with that? How do you think? Like when you were 20
Spending
years
it
old?
all on alcohol and hookers. What do you mean? No, that was weird. That was so exciting. The numbers didn't make sense. I mean, when the switch flipped and I did the first 500, he never paid. He didn't like, he did the job that had to be done to my hand, but he never actually paid the money. So just the idea of someone willing to pay this money was already enough. But then seeing money coming in and then a huge ego trip. I was so on top of the world. I was like, I am the fucking boss. I made it. I'm 20. I'm making like what? I was making 3,000 when I left Portugal. I was like, yeah, I spent it all. I continued spending it all. Actually, I don't have any money left. So it took a while to, but then it also very quickly became very normal. Very quickly became very normal. Like things just changed after the first 10,000 a month. It's just a number, and then it's like, oh yeah, whatever. Like what's next? Mm-hmm. The dopamine was so huge of such quick growth, and the possibilities, and like the whole thinking of how I perceive the world completely flipped. I used to be a lefty communist. I think every teenager should be. I want to save the world. I want to do something for the government or for our nice country. And then you start making money, and I think a lot of people realize, yeah, there is some truth to that, but not all of it is. And you start thinking more about what can I actually do impactful about it. But other people still perceive it as like, oh my God, you have so much money, you make, and then you're like, that's not a lot of money at all. That's like nothing. That's peanuts. I want to make 50 and 100 a month, and then it's still nothing. Yeah. But like just perceiving the world in general, where do I put my energy in? How do I see, I don't know, maybe geopolitics in some way, or maybe like how I perceive like people from poorer countries. All of this stuff just flipped.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. My views on life changed so much when I started nomading.
Yeah. And the travel contributes a lot, right?
Right. Like the US is big, but you get out of that bubble and you're like, oh, wow. Very different cultures, very different, ways people live. I mean, like we had, like when we were talking growing up, but when you nomad and you live in a place and you see somebody making no money, but they're
happy. Yeah. Weird, right?
There's a place around here. I went there today. It's just a little juice shop, right? I got like a mango shake and this little juice shop.
Huh.
And Paige was talking to him yesterday. And he, worked a really nice 9 to 5 in Bangkok or something and just got super burnt out. And so he came here, started a juice shop, and he said, I doubt he makes a ton of money, but every time you go there, he has like the biggest smile on his face, just serving people. And he always gives you extra. So I ordered the mango shake. He also gives you like a bowl of fruit or something you didn't order just to surprise you, right? And so it always, I think, is with you, that idea of success. And coming from the US, the way we see success so often is
very
what you have.
perverted.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's like what you have, right?
Yeah.
It's the house, the car, how much money you make.
Lots of status, I think. Nomads have less of that. I think we have this in like our experiences. Look where I traveled.
But it's interesting when I think you grow so quickly.
Yeah.
When you start to travel, and same thing building a business. Like I was telling you before we started, I'm probably in a month going to be finally launching, and I'm already starting to like change a lot with that, right? So I can only imagine you're 20 years old, you're doing both of these at the same time. I mean, life must have just been like F1, just zooming by, and changing how much you have. I'm sure it's been a lot to look back on, I would think.
Yeah. It was also painful. Like, this is what people underestimate. Like, it's all very nice on Instagram or if you talk in person, but then it's lonely. Like, okay, find a girl that's 20 that understands a 20-year-old that just made his first 10K and does not want to find himself and it just wants to explore more of this while traveling. Find love, first of all, like, or someone in general that will, like, all of my friends are 20 years plus older than me, or like 15 years older than me, or 10 years older than me. All of my previous partners were older than me. My girlfriend right now is older than me. And the communities I'm hanging out with, it's like, so I still have the young energy to go out and want to drink beers 3 days in a row in the evening. But I would like to do that with the people, with our friends that we both know. But they're like, no, it's 8 p.m. We're gonna go to bed. And then you suddenly need to hang out in a bar with a bunch of other 20-year-olds, and then you suddenly realize it's not fun anymore because it's just super undersurface conversations, and you don't want to answer the same questions all the time. Oh, what are you doing? I have my own business and I live in Thailand. What? Oh my God, it's so crazy. Oh, how do you make money? How do you find clients? I get it. Like, but it's just not the type of conversation I want to have anymore. And yeah, and then you gotta be okay with being lonely, and that is, yeah, that's tough. Or like, I wanted freedom. I had no idea what freedom is, and then I would not call myself free at all, which is funny because this also the perception of freedom changed a lot. So I would call myself less free now than I thought I was like 2 years ago. But the price of even a tiny bit of freedom I gained was a price I think most people not ready to pay. I think there is a lot of courageous people that just would have needed someone to show them the way, which is why I really respect your business idea to like show people where you came from, like engineers. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you want to have that in a podcast already, but to like show people and tell them exactly this is fine, you're good to go, like, and this is a valid dream, and like this is possible, because this is what somebody did to me. Like Dennis did it to me, and that was so valuable. Like having this authority, especially as a young guy, of a guy with no hair, telling all of those stories, all of the drunk wine bottles and like experiences he had, and being like, yeah, do this, you're gonna have the same, was very, very, very important.
So important. I remember, so I wanted to go Nomad, and I was, long story to get there, but this is the point where I had confirmed, I'd found a company that would let me do it, and it was like a 6-month window that they would give me. That I would have to be in the office before I could start traveling, right? And have you ever heard of Traveling with Kristen?
No.
She was like one of the, original nomads I was posting online on YouTube. I think she still does, of, how to be the digital nomad and stuff. And she had a podcast I started listening to and gave away like a free call or something. And I won it. And I remember just getting on and asking her like the dumb questions, like, how am I going to, what do you do for insurance? Like, what do you do for, like, the things that you tell yourself are the huge blockers that a quick Google search or something like that can easily do. But
there's not even, you don't even know you can ask this in Google. That's such a different perception of the world. That's what I'm saying. Like, you think differently as soon as you start maybe traveling, maybe making money, maybe like interacting with different kinds of people. It's weird, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not long ago for you either that you started nomading, right? It's like so crazy how quickly your mind shifts.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been less than 5 years. So coming up on 5 years of nomading.
Well, it's a lot of time.
Yeah. The power of having somebody that's been through it to guide you to that. It's hard to put like a monetary value on that sometimes, people do, right?
People do.
But
it's a fair, that's the thing. I think if you have been through this, you know how fair the price might be. I would have like 10,000 euros and I'm going to show you how to break out of the life. Worth it. 10,000 euros to someone who has not been there yet. What the fuck? That's a lot of money that I don't have for something I don't understand. Like, how do you, I think mentorship is very hard to put it. I think mentorship is maybe at this level in my life and at this level in business, mentorship is not possible monetarily. I think it must be from the will, like, no, not the will, from the personal fulfillment you get to show it to someone else how to do that. And it's so hard. Like, I can't even imagine how much effort and energy my previous mentor, you put into me. And now remembering stuff his size sometimes, like, it's like, I get it a little bit now. Like, working with someone that asks, okay, but how does health insurance work? And you're like, oh my God, like, I've been doing this for 9 years and I need to deal with this shit, but you see potential. I think it's hard.
Yeah, for sure. I want to go back to the kind of success part, because you talked at first, especially, like, it was really about the money for you. I'm curious if or how that's changed now and what may be your goal or metrics.
I wouldn't sign that it was only about the money for me. It was more about what was it about? I don't know what it was about. I just wanted to do something. I always had this intrinsic energy inside to go somewhere and move into something, like, since I know myself. And then the money just put the price tag away from doing stuff, right? Philippines? Okay, cool, let's go. And like, oh, this? Okay, cool. This drink, whatever the bread costs? Okay, cool. Money is just a very nice helping tool to do stuff you want to do or to help people you want to help. And I would say it became actually, that's weird. I don't know. It's a tough time right now. Like, it's settling down here also brings all of these questions up again. What am I doing this for? What is actually important to me? Where do I want to go? And I understand money is a very important tool. I want to have more of that for the sake of having it, for being able to use it as a tool to grow even more. First of all, I like the game of business. It's a hard game, but it's an interesting one. How do what's the knob I can turn on to make this specific thing I want to make work? And it's also nice, I don't need the money anymore. I would need money in the bank account to not be anxious about it, but I would not suddenly spend, like, if my costs of living are 5,000 or 10,000 euros a month, you already have everything you want. You don't need more stuff. You just don't. I mean, except you're living in the States and your cost of living maybe like, I don't know, 15, 20, double that. But after that, nothing changes. You don't drive a nicer car. You don't drive a nicer motorcycle. You don't suddenly start buying watches like an idiot. Your house is already a nicer one. Like, you don't suddenly, you still eat steak. Like, right? Like, that doesn't change. But the possibilities to do a bigger impact, and this is where I'm right now, like, what I want to do actually. Am I gonna just continue doing business for the sake of making more money? That doesn't sound fulfilling anymore. That's like, okay, cool, but I'm already happy. Why should I scale, put in the energy, be anxious about it, invest to just make more money? For what? What am I going to do with the rest of my day? Right? Like, what are the things I actually enjoy as a person, and to detach from a work-related identity? Because I think a lot of people, and you're American, I think it's not even an only American thing anymore. People like, our identities is so bound to what we do for work and business if you talk to nomads and you're like, what do you do? Nobody's going to answer, I ride a motorcycle on the weekends and I really like sauna and cold plunges. Nobody says that. People say, I run ads and I'm helping businesses achieve blah, 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 blah. Yeah, we know. But who are you? And I don't know who I am. I don't know what I want to do. And that has been a tough time in the past 2 months to actually it's painful to realize that. So I can't answer the question. It's a path. It's a dirt path.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's a perfect answer because it's where you are right now, right? Like we don't have things all figured out. You know, I'm 30, done what I think are cool things in life, but at the same time, I have a lot to figure out and I'm doing it every day. And excuse me, I finally feel like I achieved clarity on like the business idea I was telling you about.
Congrats.
Thank you. But there's still days where I'm like, this is stupid. This isn't going to work, right? And I think that's the reality. And I really appreciate you being open on that because for so many people on the outside, you've achieved things that like they dream of, but it doesn't just stop. Like I remember when I started nomading, I dreamed about that. I talked about doing that for probably 8 years before. And so that first 10 months I was in Europe, it was the ultimate high, like just going, doing all of the things. And then, the next 5 months I go to Asia and I kind of get there and I was just like, now what? I accomplished this lifelong goal. So now what's next to do?
Somebody, I'm not sure who said it, maybe my ex-mentor or somebody on the internet or some friend. He said, needs are endless. And that's the whole problem about putting your needs as a goal. Like, I want a house. I want to make 10,000 a month. I want to be happy is also a need that you should not put it as a goal because it's endless. You can't be you're there because it's never reachable. And as soon as you reach some sort of goal, you're going to be like, okay, what now? My goal, there's a study about Olympic winners having falling into depression after that because because not all of them obviously, but a lot of them have this as their life dream goal. They work for years on that. They're going to go out of the age for that at some point, right? They're hustling and fighting with their own bodies and then they win. And then they're like, oh, fuck. What now?
Yeah, you achieved the height of all heights.
Yeah.
I think it's, not just Olympics, like all sports, a lot of athletes go through it. I know football players, like for the US, American football, you hear about it. It's a very common story. Like you just don't know what to do next. And sports is so unique where you achieve your greatest level at such a young age comparatively. That it's just this weird thing of then you have to figure out the next thing because I like what you said, it's not about happiness, it's about fulfillment, right? Contentment.
Yeah, I like contempt as a goal, like being peaceful as a goal. It's a way more easier goal to achieve, to be peaceful. And it doesn't necessarily require specific things to exist. But that's only a thought for now. That might change completely in 2 months.
Let's go back to the story for a little bit in terms of, so you leave to go nomading, you leave the 9 to 5, you're doing the business 100%. How did that go at first? Was it straight up and to the right? Did you have, some moments where you felt like, I don't know if this is going to work out, feeling like you want to quit and go back? Like what was that trajectory?
Yeah, of course. I multiple times thought maybe I should go back home to Germany and be like all of the other people and go to university. Maybe that's what I'm liking right now. Or what am I doing all of this for? So the first time I remember I was sitting in Bali, but still this mentor with the guy. And we had a night out. We were sitting in the morning, eating some burgers, a huge burger, palm tree, some water there, crazy scenery, crazy. And it suddenly comes to my mind. I'm eating this burger. I'm looking at the burger. I'm looking to the side and I'm like, I got so sad. I'm like, what am I doing here? I was literally sitting there and my thoughts were just like, should I go back to Germany? Should I start going to university? I should call mom. I should ask her what to do. I don't know. maybe what was completely lost out of nowhere, because goals were achieved at that point, because the needs were fulfilled, and then suddenly so my goal at that moment in life when I was a teenager, like I still am, when I was a teenager, was to be happy and focus on myself. Like, Maslow's pyramid. Suddenly you want to fulfill this top.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking sucks. Because there's nothing after the pyramid. Like, there's nowhere to go after you hit the peak. And then I was sitting there and I had something to eat. I had something to drink. I, could have women if I wanted to. I could have nice work. I could travel wherever I wanted to. And then I'm sitting looking at this burger. I don't know. It felt such a nice metaphor. This overkill burger with this scenery, and lost. And I think it was always a matter of a bigger goal that is somewhat more impactful. Or now, I am more anxious about my work than I used to be. I just had a conversation yesterday with someone that gave me a lot of energy again, and almost forgotten thoughts and ways to think. That's, I think, what people often don't realize, that the way you think about things is so powerful. But and this guy, like a black guy, is successful as well. He would never say he's successful, and that's what makes him so humble. And it's like, yeah, bro, And he has this. And he was like, yeah, you gotta be like a choo-choo train. You just go. Super funny guy. Super funny. Gave me a lot of energy yesterday. And it's a spiral down sometimes. Like if you don't catch on it quickly enough that you're thinking negatively, it just goes down and down and down. What am I doing this for? Okay, the clients are not paying. Why are the clients not paying? Oh, I get a call. I don't have a contract with the client. He wants to call. Does he want to quit? Does he want to cancel? What the fuck? What's going on? It's a big client. What do I do? Yeah, there's both parts to it. And then now it's better again, because I'm like, oh, okay, I'm going to propose them a deal, cash up front, whatever. It's it's a constant roller coaster. Yeah. And I think the goal of it is to minimize the roller coasting and going up and down and making it more stable. But there's still moments.
I'm curious.
But I think at some point you just hit a point of no return. I would not go back to Germany. I would not go back to employment. I would not go back to university, I think. And after you hit that and you've been through this roller coaster once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, which I haven't been yet, maybe once or twice yet, then you're getting used to this process. You're more aware of it. It's like having a heartbreak. You're like, oh, I know what to do. I need to hit the gym and whatever.
I'm curious, when you're on those downward spirals, have you found anything that has really helped you reset your energy or get out of it?
Having good friends is really valuable. People that are going to listen to you and that know you from before and going to be like, Danny, what the fuck? What happened? And then the realization of oh, Katie knows me for a while. She knows me as this particular person. And now she starts telling me things that I tell to sad people. Fuck, I'm fucked. Something's wrong. I need to do something about it. Or being more in the nature, talking to positive people, really trying to get back to it's like a meditation. I feel like if you're spiraling in any direction, upwards or downwards, your thoughts are just running free more, which is nice sometimes. Mm-hmm. And it's about bringing it down to center again, to being more aware and clear. And it's very hard the longer you spiral. Very, very hard. It feels so, it's like forgetting that there is this way of thinking that you can influence your own thoughts. And to get back to that, I don't think I have a manual for that yet. Mm. I think it's super subjective how people do that. For me, it's sports, sauna, ice bath, more nature. And I say it, but I don't do it. It's a difficult thing. And then maybe just chilling more out, and journaling, I believe, is a very powerful thing. I say it, I don't really do it. I want to start doing it since ever. I used to do it, but you see, it's a dirt path.
It's hard when you're in those moments, right? Because there's almost this weird part of us that feels good to let ourselves deeper downwards. Yeah. I don't know what it is. And we have these things that you saw, journaling ice baths, I've done these things too, and it works for me. But for whatever reason, sometimes it's just hard to get up to go do that.
So hard. It's weird, right? Because it's not a big deal to go and sit down and read a book for 20 minutes. I think the social media isn't helping. Like these things you record me on are made to. That's also what the guy said yesterday. Are made to like be constantly easy to connect, and they're so easy to like distract yourself from thoughts, and that's a problem. I think it just makes filling time easier, where being a little bit bored, thinking and processing all of this stuff would help.
Yeah, it's why I wanted to do a podcast.
Yeah.
I had a phase where I did Instagram and stuff for a while, and I write on LinkedIn, and I try to be more vulnerable there. But you can't ever be as vulnerable as or as deep as nuanced as if you're having an hour conversation with somebody, right? Like as you can in a 3-second TikTok, like go quit and do your dream job. Okay, that's a great 3-second TikTok, but what does that actually mean? How do you do that? What are the actual realities and negative sides?
Yeah, the context is very important.
Yeah. I was curious about the negative energy one, because now with me deciding to leave the company and start to build a business, when you're at a 9 to 5, for whatever reason, I think I would let myself kind of stay in those moments long. Like I was very comfortable, especially at the end. And when I left, you mentioned social media. I was already off a few different social medias at that time. But when I left, the one thing I said was like, okay, I just gained all of this time. The one thing I don't want to do is just like scroll. Because I am that person that will like scroll for hours and like lose a day sometimes.
Yeah, same.
And so I started like anything I was scrolling, I started deleting. And I started to be hyper aware of my energy. What would bring it up? What would bring it down? And I still am, and I'm definitely not perfect. Still very much working on this, but I am looking for a lot of those things you mentioned and trying to be better and more consistent about how do I keep that in the day. Because when, right now, and I'm sure you can really relate to this, you're so much ahead of me in terms of building the business. Like when I have the good days, I feel like I'm on top of the world and my business is going to be amazing. When I have the bad days, I don't even want to start. And so if you have the bad days all the time, I don't know how you can keep going, right? You have to see how you can have more of the good days and ride out the bad days and like reset.
I want to build up to this from what you said like 2 seconds ago about why it is easier to be negative and spiraling when you're employed. I think because it's easier to give away the responsibility, and the hard, painful, but also extremely helpful realization that you get quicker when you're self-employed is it's only you. And it's always been only you. And instead of victimizing yourself and sitting there and outsourcing the responsibility to your other colleague, to management, to the CEO, to the vision of the company, at some point, even in a spiral, you come to the realization, fuck, it's me. I haven't done the work. I have not journaled. I have been procrastinating. I have been scrolling. I did not take care of my belly. This makes me clogged in my mind. All of these things, you're like, oh yeah, like it's super painful. It's me. It's just me. And I think that's why it's easier if it's not only you, because it's so much easier to outsource this responsibility and stay a victim. And it sounds very harsh because people never want to be called victims, but we're not, like also what the guy said yesterday. I mean, he said like, I really agree with him. We're not special. Like I am not particularly smart or particularly tall or particularly attractive. And even if I am, I haven't done anything for it. I was just born this way. So it doesn't automatically make me a better person, right? It's what you do and then what you not do, I guess. Mm-hmm. And then to, I think, minimize those extremes of good and bad days. Yeah. It's just really important to remember how it accumulates, like those little things you do during the day accumulate to a better progression. and that it's not necessarily about having the highs, but like, and that's so addicting because you want the highs, but they are not as long-term of an impact as if you would just do every day 4 hours instead of every day 8 hours and then burn out and don't do anything for a week and scroll, right? And also I think that people think that you need to journal, eat healthy, go to the gym, have good sex, read a book, and do the work every single day. But the truth is people do all of these stuff just in different days and it also works. But I feel like it's such an expectation, like, oh, I've been to the gym today, but I haven't read. Like, oh, I still need to go for my walk now. Like you can, I'm telling this myself. Like, I'm not really telling this as a tip to anyone else. I'm really just trying to remember myself that I should just do at least some of these things. Like it's.
No, it's an important conversation, right? Because we're both figuring.
Yeah.
And that's what the dirt path is all about. Like when you're on the highway, you can kind of drone on a little bit. Like I remember literally on the highway, you'd be like blinking, like, oh, wait, where did I go? Like the last 5 minutes? That's scary. But you kind of know where you're going. There's signs and everything telling you, and you have this vision. But on the dirt path, it's dark, it's windy. You don't even know if you're on a path. Like you just have to kind of have figured out. And that's what the podcast is about. So I really appreciate you going deep on that. I do want to get a little bit back to what you do because you are really amazing at what you do.
Thank you.
A lot of people in our circle, everybody goes to you for ads. You are like the ads expert. And it's ClickSpire, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Is the company. I'm curious, what do you think most people get wrong about ads, or like maybe is a common misconception about ads?
I have a very nice YouTube video about it. That's 40 minutes long, which is
put it in the show notes, maybe.
Cool. A lot of things people get wrong about ads. I think the question is predetermined that it goes to people that are not very familiar with ads. It's more to business owners and freelancers that have never done ads but know they want to do ads, or think it's the next best way to do ads, to progress their business, or they have done ads but they've burned themselves. And I think the most misconceptions are that you need a big budget. You need to put a lot of effort into ads to make them work. It's that it needs a lot of time also, the same as with the budget. And that misconceptions, that's a very difficult question to answer, because like, what do people get wrong about ads? I don't know what people get wrong about ads. Besides these things particularly.
What about any prerequisites, Danny? Do you think when somebody starts a business, right? I'm launching this business. What do you think I should have in place before looking to do?
You need to know who you're selling to and what you're selling to. Well, what you're selling is a product. Like, let's say you have a pet sitting business, and then this service itself would be needed by different types of customers in Berlin. There might be an IT guy, like maybe like you, an engineer, and a man that is in his mid-30s, and the only thing he cares about is that his pet gets picked up on time. He can select a time slot for that. It's going to be efficient. He can pay online. He gets an invoice sent to his email automatically. The pet is going to be safe and all right. Maybe there's a web camera in the pet room, so he can maybe watch it, and then it's going to get delivered back on time. And it just works, and it's all going to be in blue and white colors. Just a hypothesis. And that's the ideal customer profile we're talking about right now. And then there's also a 24-year-old vegan feminist in Berlin. She really loves her dog. I mean, the guy also does, but just she's like super oriented on, I want that my dog is going to feel safe. I want that he gets specific type of food because he has an allergy. And that's really taken care of when they do like check it before. And it's way more maybe hypothetically about how the dog is going to feel. So it's all maybe in softer colors. and a lot about more emotional copywriting than for the IT guy, engineer type of person that is just like rationally, I need this to work. That's it. So even for the same product, you might have two completely different approaches on how do you not even do ads, but the things before that. I mean, every business should do something like this, right? It's not even about, I want to do ads, I need to know that. But like, this is how you build your website. This is how you build your offer. And a great offer is key for good ads. If you're gonna sell a co-working space, and you're gonna sell a co-working space ticket 50% off this weekend only for Nomads, that there's a better offer than just a co-working space. Very simple, right? Or money back guarantee, or satisfaction guarantee, or a giveaway, or whatever. People, things or offers that might attract people. And then there's also this thing that people put a lot of effort sometimes into advertisement, like producing a whole video and putting a lot of effort in the editing, maybe paying a freelancer to do that, to then run an ad on this, and that's going to be already like a couple $100, and then it doesn't perform, instead of just putting a picture or text on meta ads. Might seem ugly, but it's not about what fancy B-roll you have of a surfboard guy with salty hair walking into the co-working space with this new MacBook Air. It's about, I want a co-working space and this is a nice deal and I'm going to go there now. Also, there is a misconception, which I think often happens with the older folks, which is, I want to get my name out there. That doesn't work. You're not McDonald's. You're not Pepsi. You're not Burger King. If someone sees a red can, they don't think of Coca-Cola just because they got then if you are not too big of a brand and you don't have the budget, because we're talking millions when we're talking about the brand awareness, because that's what it is. What you need as a business owner is a nice offer to a specific type of customer solving a specific problem. And then you want to purchase. Nobody cares about who you are. Nobody. You're replaceable. Almost everyone is replaceable that does ads on our level. Nobody cares about your logo, about how like all of the stuff. People care about their problem solved. Period.
So a very intentional, targeted approach.
Yeah.
It sounds like.
And I'm not trying to say that all of the fancy produced videos, all of the branded stuff does not work. Yeah. It's just a different part of the funnel. It's maybe going to catch people that the intentional, quick, dirty part was not enough for, right? So still very helpful. It's going to help you create a brand identity in general and to retain customers for longer or stuff like this. But if you want to make money and you want to make this money with a low budget, you should concentrate definitely on like the very particular things about this is the product, I'm solving this.
And Danny, what about the people that say, I don't know, I want to do it organic. I want to build my brand organic from the ground up. Do I really need to run ads to get my customers?
You don't.
Something about that feels dirty in a way. I don't know. Like, what do you kind of say, I guess, to these people?
Look, I've tried running ads for a project of mine and it failed because I think that the correct way would have been organic. And then supporting with ads. That really depends on the branch and the product and the people you're going for. There is higher commitment purchases, either money-wise, time-wise, or logistic-wise. Let's say Nomad cruise. We all know the Nomad cruise. The Nomad cruise is a cruise ship with a conference on it. And sometimes it's like a 14-day cruise, 2-day cruise, or a 30-day cruise. The one I've been on was 30 days long. It's not only a huge money commitment, but it's also a huge commitment to get there, to pay the hotel, to pay the flights, then get back from there. And get the visa. It's a preparement of 6 months or 2 months, whatever. So if I would just see an ad, I would be like, "Hi, cool. 12,000 euro, 6,000 euro. Yeah, whatever. Maybe I buy. I probably won't." So, but if I see Nomad Cruise appearing on my feed for a whole year before that, 3 months before that, people smiling, having fun, doing the stuff, people talking about the product, person, Nomad events, seeing Johannes appearing and offline on those things and having a chat with him, building the trust, which is organic, right? And it's intentional, but it's organic. Then I'm going to be like, next Nomad Cruise 30 days from Seattle to Sydney. Yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun. So, and I think that's very important to understand. And then ads are amazing to support or sell something quick and dirty, and also not quick and dirty. But it's very fair not to want that. And it's just, I'm a fan of ads because it's also a dopamine rush and it's quick. Like SEO or any type of other organic content just takes longer. It's trial and error, and you need to let it sit and produce and post, and just takes more time. Whether with ads, I can create 10 angles of a picture or of an offer, launch them, and know more in 3 days.
I appreciate the honest answer that maybe ads aren't always the answer.
Of course not. No, like I want to sell my service to people that it doesn't make sense to sell a service to something that's just gonna be better off without the service. Potentially.
And I'll give you a misconception because it's one that I kind of have, and I'm starting to already work on it, which is, I'm about to launch a business, right? It might take some time before I have any cash flow, and I prepared myself before this. I'm quite in a good position financially, but there's this part of me that's almost scared or afraid to invest, and ads are kind of lumped in with that. I mean, what would be your response to somebody maybe that's a little bit trepidatious to invest in general, and ads would work for them with, what they're going for, but why do ads, I guess, for that person, or like for myself in a few months?
That was one of the first misconceptions I believe I mentioned. You don't need a big budget. And I think that's the biggest scary part of it. Like, there's a lot of numbers you don't understand, potentially, right? As a normal business owner. And then it's also something that you've never done before and you don't have time for this. And you think it's a lot of money, but you really need $100 to test something out. And nobody's going to promise or guarantee you're going to get rich after the $100, or even that you're going to get a first customer in the first place after $100. But I can guarantee you're going to learn something from it if you do it intentionally. And you're going to understand more about maybe, okay, people did not respond, or people filled out the lead form or booked a call, but they were the wrong people. What did I do wrong? What was the thing that wasn't as turned into the right direction as it was supposed to be? And this helps already, I think, to like lower the barrier of entry to investment in ads. And and also there's ways to run ads for a smaller type of audience. So let's say you are already in the business, you've done some work for the past 3 months. So maybe you have some organic traffic already. Maybe you have some interested people. Maybe you have had some previous customers. You can leverage all of this to run ads on a lower budget to similar people to those, or to people who did not become customers but were interested, by maybe already generating you the lowest hanging fruit cash flow to then reinvest into broader ads for new customers, potentially.
Okay. Many things I'm thinking about, like I said, so I appreciate I'll probably be contenting you, I'm sure, in not too long. Danny, I feel like I could talk to you for a long, long time. I appreciate how vulnerable and everything in this conversation you've been. I mean, you kind of touched on it, like you're done with surface level conversations. And that's also been a part of me wanting to do the podcast. I mean, I don't think people quite understand, especially when you're nomading and moving a bit faster. You just tend to meet people all the time, which can be great, but exhausting when you are having the same conversations. And then when you finally find somebody that you click with, all of a sudden 15 minutes in, you're kind of talking like, this is what I talked to my therapist about. Like, you go deep very quick, right? But it's because we really crave those. But I really appreciate you coming on and sharing all of that. Last question for you. Why the dirt path? You detailed a lot of difficult things that the dirt path entails, whether that's nomading, starting your own business. Why continue to do it?
There's no way back. Which sounds like a negative thing to say, right? But I like to see it as a door that you open. You're in a dark room, and then you start opening this door, and it's maybe only 1 millimeter wide open, but the light is shining out there so bright, and gets to the dark room and makes it bright a little bit, just a tiny bit, just like this tiny bit. You can't unsee it. There's no way to unsee it. There's no way. There is way. I could be in an employment position again, I think. If it's a nice employment position, if the company culture is great, if there's nice management, if I have the freedom to do stuff, if I can work remotely, the freedom to choose what I want to do. And I guess the philosophy of how I see life in general, that I am my biggest enemy, is very helpful to the business. It's painful. It's very tough sometimes. But the opportunity you get if you accomplish something is also quite much bigger than if you would be employed. And you meet a bunch of very interesting, fun people anyway. Very interesting. I believe in employment as well. And to be fair, I've never been really employed. I have never been in a real corporate setting for long enough to learn it the conventional way, to have it in my, stamped into my head too much. And I'm very happy and very grateful for the fact that I had the opportunity to relearn those social norms and definitions so early on, because it took less effort than I think it takes for someone that is maybe 40 years old, worked already for 20 years, has maybe already built a life, has more liabilities in general. The opportunities my generation has nowadays are crazy. And I just think for the moment of speaking now, I'm just looking more forward to exploring more about myself with the business and going through these different roller coaster moves than to going back to something I didn't like in the first place. Yeah.
Beautiful. I appreciate it. Danny, thank you so much, man.
Thank you so much for the amazing questions. That was very fun.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Dirt Path podcast. You can find any links to support or follow today's Trailblazer in the description below. If you got this far and really liked today's episode, it would mean a lot if you could give us a 5 stars wherever you found this podcast. Subscribe and like on YouTube. And email us. Email us at thedirtpathpodcast@gmail.com to give us feedback, to give us an update of you on your own dirt path, or to send us questions, as we might be doing some Q&A episodes in the future. All right. We'll see you next time here on the Dirt Path.
Saw the exit sign flash by, a whisper in the breeze said, take a chance, don't wonder why, just follow where it leads. Oh, the dirt path, it ain't easy, no map to guide the way. Slow and hard, sometimes uneasy, you stumble through the clay. No signs to tell you where you're bound, no traffic to obey. But every step on broken ground builds something great someday.